Welcome everybody to this thing that I call a live show. Yes, you never know what's going to be said, you never know what's going to be done, but I call it a live show, live from the Gold and Blue Nude studio. We are live and ready to roll. And title is correct. Title is correct. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button before you do anything else. Hit the like and subscribe button. Both of those things are absolutely free, especially the like button. That's what really helps these live shows. It hits the YouTube algorithm, gets the video suggested more, and more people see it and click on it, and that's how you grow the audience. So you're not just helping me, but you're also helping yourself because you're growing the audience. So there's more back and forth, more people that you can talk trash to. So keep that in mind if you haven't hit the like button. And if you have a question, comment, troll attempt, people like to make fun of me. I can take it. Perfectly fine with that. Super chat button. Little dollar sign that you see on the bottom right hand corner. Anything you put in that super chat will go on the screen. And hold on, let me put, you know what? I should have done this first. There we go. There we go. There's my PO box. Send gear to represent your team. And Will Klein, if you're watching, I don't know if you're watching now, but if you are watching, I did get your gift. I didn't have time to take a photo and shout you out, but I will do that tomorrow. Not gonna lie, it's pretty cool. Um, if I had to guess, just to give you guys a hint before I shout him out tomorrow, I would say it's the biggest thing that I've gotten so far. That's definitely not going to give it away. You'll probably never guess it, but there's your hint. It is the biggest thing that somebody has ever given me, and no, it's not a regular size helmet. No, but it's still pretty cool, and it is Georgia gear. Somebody finally, finally sent me Georgia gear. Don't I honestly don't know how I'm going to display it in my studio. Once you see the shout out tomorrow, you'll understand why I have concerns as far as displaying it. It's pretty cool. I'm not saying it's stupid or anything like that, but how I'm going to display it, I really have no idea whatsoever. So yesterday we did a live show talking about an algorithm that I came up with to determine a team's true worth. Because whenever you get to the playoffs, you're trying to split hairs. This team beat that team, that beat that team, but by how much? Have they played anybody tough? Who did they look like against this team? What about that team? No, they were just lucky. They didn't play anybody. There's a lot of guesswork into it. And most people, including myself, thought that if USC beat Utah, they would have been in. And I'm still convinced of that. But because they got beat, then Ohio State backs their way in. But then everybody's like, Ohio State got blasted by Michigan at home. Why are they in? And I was on that wagon where I was saying, hey, if you're going to compare resumes between Ohio State and USC, you got to stop at the regular season because Ohio State didn't even make it to the conference championship. So why would you use that extra game since Ohio State also didn't use that extra game? And then there were the Alabama fans coming out of the woodworks. We were one of the four best teams. Should have put us in the playoffs. And y'all know me. I made slam video after slam video after slam video. And then they straight up just dismantled Kansas State. My opinion is one great game doesn't mean that you should have been in the national championship. You did have two losses, close losses, on the road losses, but two losses. Having said all that, yesterday I mentioned the algorithm that I came up with. What I did was I took the rankings of everybody's offenses, points per game and what their rank was, not their actual points per game, but their rank from that. So somebody scores, 50 points a game, their rank is number one. That would be their number for offense. For defense, same thing. If somebody allows, 7 points per game, then they're probably number one. That's a pretty good defense. So your number would be number one for defense. And then the last factor was the strength of schedule. Yes, that matters because what if you're a team that goes undefeated, but your strength of schedule is like, I don't know, 70. Not tough at all. And let's say you didn't blow out everybody either. On top of that, say you beat everybody by, touchdown, 10 points, something like that. So, yes, you went undefeated, but at the same time, you went undefeated with a very, very, very soft schedule, and you didn't dominate that soft schedule. And I think we saw TCU be the victim of that. Now, I'm not saying TCU had a soft schedule. No, they actually had a really tough schedule. But if you watched all their games, man, it looked like they had a horseshoe up their rear end because they had to come back, come back, come back, come back. But a win's a win. It counts. But if you look at their stats, their defense is trash. And even against West Virginia, against Kansas State, I'm talking regular season now, Kansas State, Texas, a lot of close games. And even Michigan, it took 2 pick sixes for them to win that football game. Finally, the defense showed up, right? So it looked like TCU finally ran out of miracles versus Georgia, and they got exposed 65-7. So having said all that, I do think that TCU earned their way into the playoffs, but were they one of the 4 best teams? That's the question, because isn't the object of the playoffs to have the 4 best teams? I know it's very conflicting trying to figure this out. So with that algorithm, more craziness ensued. More craziness ensued. And one of the crazy things that happened is I realized just how good Alabama really was. They had a top 5 offense, top 10 defense, and almost a top 25 schedule, which landed them number 2 on the list. Yes, according to this algorithm, Alabama was actually the 2nd best team in the nation. So I went back and looked at all the stats where they ranked. And here's the top 25 teams according to that algorithm. Now, I would put more value into wins and losses because some of these teams, I'm going to be honest with you, some of these teams do not belong where they are at. Some of these teams don't even belong in the top 25, all right? So I'm not agreeing with this list. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not agreeing with this. I'm just giving it to you based on the results, all right? Here we go. Top 25 based on the algorithm that I mentioned. Points scored per game, points allowed per game, and strength of schedule all mixed together, divided up, averaged out. Here are the results. Number 1 was undisputed. Undisputed. And that's Georgia. Georgia is the undisputed number 1 team. Of course, 15-0, national champs. Number 5 offense, number 5 defense, and their strength of schedule was 11th. You divide that by 3, and their number is 7, which was the lowest by a long shot. Long shot. Georgia was truly the number 1 team. The number 2 team, according to this algorithm, is actually Alabama. This is where I owe Alabama an apology. Maybe they were one of the 4 best teams. They had a top 5 offense, top 10 defense, pretty strong schedule. Maybe they just had some bad luck in some of their games. I mean, we look at what they did against Kansas State, and they absolutely humiliated them. Maybe they were one of the top 4, but they didn't earn their way in because they lost 2 games in the regular season and didn't even play in the SEC championship, right? But according to the algorithm, Alabama, the number 2 team, they went 11-2. Their number was 13. That's a significant gap from 7 to 13. I actually think that that's the largest gap from any one number to the next. That's the largest gap right there from the number 1 team to the number 2 team. All right, number 3, Ohio State. Ohio State. So they basically were where they were supposed to be. 11-2. Number 2 offense, number 24 defense, and strength of schedule, 17th toughest schedule. So Ohio State, a legit number 3, even according to the algorithm. This is where things get nuts, ridiculous. And this is why I said I don't agree with these particular rankings. I'm just giving them to you, all right? So number 4 doesn't belong at number 4. Does anybody have a guess at who number 4 is before I go on? Any guesses? Any guesses? Who's the number 4 team according to this algorithm? Real quick, so we can keep it moving. Number 4, quick guess. Come on. Anybody? Just a guess. Just a guess. Number 4, who's the number 4 team according to this algorithm? Utah. Kevin Wood says Utah. No, not Utah. No, Georgia was number 1, Cody. Easy. Somebody saying Texas A&M, I'm thinking. No, they didn't even make the list. TCU, good guess. No, Penn State, also a good guess. The number 4 team, according to this algorithm, Hillbilly Skeptic says Tennessee. That's a good guess, too, and close. It's actually close. Tennessee's close. The number 4 team, according to this algorithm, are you ready? Well, I'll give you a hint. There's a round sign to my right, your left, with their logo on it. Big old round sign. My right, your left. You got it? You had the right color. Orange. Texas. Texas. According to this particular algorithm, Texas. Texas went 8-5. 25th best offense, 28th best defense, and what really helped them was their strength of schedule was the toughest in the nation. So Georgia's number was 7, which was the lowest, and the lower the number, the better, by the way. Alabama's number was 13, which was the biggest gap from one number to the next. Ohio State's number was 17.6, and Texas' number was 18. 18. Yeah, unbelievable. I did not see that coming. But could you imagine if the playoff committee had an excuse, a legitimate excuse, to put an 8-4 Texas team in? They would take it, right? We use this algorithm that we saw on YouTube, and Texas is legit the number 4 team. If you factor in, offense, defense, and strength of schedule, they're the number 4 team. We got to put them in. Yeah. If they have a legitimate excuse, they probably would have put an 8-4 Texas into the playoffs. Texas' number was 18. All right, out of the top, I don't know, 10, 15 teams, that's the one that makes the least amount of sense. Least. Number 5. You guys actually guessed it earlier, and I said you were close. Tennessee. So you were close. You were only one spot off. Tennessee finished 11-2. They had the number 1 offense in the nation. That helped them for sure. The 36th best defense, and their strength of schedule was 20th, and their number was 19. 19 was their number. Pretty good number, but not quite as good as Texas. Number 6, Michigan. This is where Michigan was. They finished 13-1, 6th best offense, 7th best defense. What hurt them was strength of schedule, 48. That's the one thing that I like about this algorithm. It actually rewards a strong schedule, and it, I guess, punishes, or whatever you want to call it, a weak schedule. And if you look at the playoffs, Michigan getting beat by TCU, that kind of backs that up, Michigan playing a weak schedule hurt them going into the playoffs, and they lost to a team that they should not have lost to. They should not have lost to TCU. But I truly think that soft schedule, and of course those 2 pick sixes, hurt them when it comes to the playoffs. But, everybody, including myself, I can't lie, including myself, thought that because they went on the road and shellacked Ohio State, that they were going to shellac TCU. I think Michigan deserved to be in the playoffs. Okay, I'm not saying that at all. I think they deserve to be in. They went undefeated. They won the Big Ten. They deserve to be in. But having a weak schedule most certainly hurt them when it came to the playoffs. They were not ready. They were used to playing soft teams, and they played soft against TCU. They did. That's why they lost. They played soft. So for Michigan to make the cut in this particular algorithm, all they had to do was schedule tougher. That's it. They have the offensive stats. They have the defensive stats. It's just that strength of schedule at 48 that's what took them out. That's what knocked them out right there. But I still don't agree with Texas. I would definitely put Michigan in over Texas. Let's move on though. Number 7, Penn State. Penn State. Number 7 is Penn State. They went 11-2. By the way, Michigan's number was 20.3. So only 0.7, no, only 1.3 lower than Tennessee. All right, so Penn State at number 7. They went 11-2. 20th best offense, 10th best defense. They were actually a good team. 33rd in strength of schedule. That's a tougher schedule than Michigan, right? So their number was 21. Pretty close to Michigan's number. Pretty close to Michigan's number. The way that I look at this is head-to-head does matter. But you can't schedule 2 tough games and then the rest of your schedule is cake. But, because we beat them head-to-head, we're a better team than them. We deserve to be in. I have an issue with that because all that means is you just got to beat 1 or 2 tough teams and then the rest of your schedule cake and you get in the playoffs and, all these other teams have really tough schedules and they had to literally battle their way in. That was the big issue that I had with Michigan. I thought they were a good team and the stats prove it. 6th on offense, 7th on defense. But you have to schedule tougher than that. Their out of conference is a freaking joke. And the Big Ten as a whole is down. Big Ten East is actually the stronger division with Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. Michigan State took a dive just like I thought they would. Indiana. I thought Tom Allen was going to be a good coach at Indiana. Indiana's turned out to be a train wreck. Rutgers trying to be better. Maryland was better. I guess Maryland was your 4th best team, but still, that's about it. Big Ten West, nobody could make up their mind who wanted to win the Big Ten West. I thought Minnesota was the best team in the Big Ten West, but because of tiebreakers, it turned out Purdue was the Big Ten West champs. All right, let's move on. Number 8 was Kansas State. Yeah, Kansas State, 10-4 in the regular season and bowl season combined. 37th best offense, 29th best defense, and the 2nd toughest schedule. So once again, scheduling tough helped another team out, boosted them up well into the top 10, even though they had 4 losses. So their number was 22.6. Still not a bad number. We're in the top 10 still. 22.6. Number 9. Anybody have a guess for number 9? To your point, Kevin Wood, yes, Alabama did play Texas, and they beat them by 1. So it actually does make that game makes these rankings make sense, sort of. The number 2 team beat the number 4 team by 1 point. It's just the amount of losses that Texas picked up the rest of the year that what makes it not make sense. But the head-to-head actually makes these rankings make sense. But anyways, number 9. Any guess? Any guess for number 9? Kent says Washington. No, sir, not Washington. In fact, I was a little disappointed in Washington's number. I really was. I thought they were good. But anyway, number 9 is actually LSU. LSU. Tigers. 10-4 altogether. They had the 24th best offense, 34th best defense. That's not elite, but it's not terrible. And they had the 12th toughest schedule. 12th toughest. Good observation, Liam. No USC yet. And that is correct. You're hearing me correctly. But number 9 is LSU. Their number was 23.3. So the 24th best offense, 34th best defense, and 12th toughest schedule. LSU comes in at number 9. Who's going to wrap up the top 10? Who's number 10, guys? Give me a guess. Well, I'll go get my Pepsi. I forgot my Pepsi. I'll be right back. Liam says USC. Noah says Tulane. And Austin gives a crazy Oklahoma. We have 2 USCs. No, not quite. Number 10, according to this algorithm. Liam, you actually got it. Florida State. That's it. That's it. Florida State. You got it. Number 10 was Florida State. They finished the regular season 10-3. They had the 16th best offense, 21st best defense. They were actually a decent team, but the 40th toughest schedule. So that hurt them a little bit, but still top 10. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. And good guess, by the way. Florida State, number 10, their number was 25.6. So let's look at the progression in the top 10, all right? Georgia's number was 7. Alabama's number was 13. Ohio State's number was 17.6. Texas' number was 18. Tennessee's was 19. Michigan's was 20.3. Penn State's was 21. Kansas State was 22.6. LSU's 23.3. And Florida State's was 25.6. Now we're outside of the top 10. These numbers are going to go much higher. Much higher. Here we go. Number 11. I've heard this guessed as far as the top 10. They barely missed the top 10, but I've seen them guessed in the comments tonight. That's going to be Utah. Utah finally makes the cut, and still no mention of USC or TCU. Still no mention of USC or TCU. Number 11 is Utah at 10-4. 11th best offense. Utah's known for their defense, but they had a really good offense. 27th best defense. Strength of schedule hurt them a little bit, though. 45th in strength of schedule. Their number was 27.6. 27.6. Number 12. I've actually seen this name guessed a few times. Not as much as Utah and, who was it? Penn State was guessed a lot in Tennessee. Number 12. They have been guessed, though. Clemson. Oh, still, nope, no USC, no TCU, not yet, not yet. Clemson at number 12. They finished the regular season 11-3, 30th in offense, 22nd in defense, 42nd in strength of schedule. So their strength of schedule hurt them a little bit on this one. You will never guess number 13. Think of a crazy guess for number 13, and I still guarantee you, you're not going to guess it. Give me a guess for number 13. What you got, guys? Who's number 13? I still don't. UCF. Good guess, though. You thought outside the box. Nope, not UCF. No, John, not Pitt. In fact, spoiler alert, Pitt did not make the top 25. Fresno State, no, BC. Duke's a good guess. Duke's a good guess. Fresno State, no. Anybody else? Anybody else? Tulane, good guess, but no, sir. In fact, Tulane didn't make the top 25 either. That surprised me. They barely missed it. North Carolina, nope. North Carolina missed the top 25. Hawaii. South Carolina surprisingly missed the top 25. I was very shocked about that. You ready? Number 13. Mississippi State. Mississippi State. Yeah. Finishing the regular season at 9-4. They were 43rd on offense, 40th on defense, but had the 16th toughest schedule. 16th toughest schedule. That's what helped them tremendously. So they didn't have a bad offense or a bad defense, but it wasn't that good either. But because they scheduled tough teams and they did halfway decent, got them number 3. Their number was 33. So far the numbers from 11, 12, 13. Utah's number was 27.6. Clemson's number was 31.3. And Mississippi State's number was 33 on the button. Now, there was a tie for 14th, so I had to use actual wins and losses to decide the tiebreaker. How about that? Actual wins and losses. Number 14. Anybody? Number 14. This one's not like way, way out there. In fact, it might be time to start guessing the obvious, guys. Number 14. Anybody? Anybody? Who's number 14, guys? Who's number 14? Who's number 14 on these rankings based on the algorithm of offensive ranking, defensive ranking, and strength of schedule? I used an algorithm to determine these rankings. I used their Texas was number 4. Kent, good guess, USC, but it's not USC. Who's the other team we're waiting on? There's your hint. Who's the other team, guys? Not USC, but come on. Now y'all can do it. Not USC, but who's the other team we've been waiting on to show up on the list? TCU. Noah got it. TCU. Yes, TCU finally makes the top 25 at number 14. 13-2. They had a good season, but they were barely beating people, and they had a bad defense, and that's exactly what hurt them. They had the 9th best offense, 91st on defense. That's what hurt them. Strength of schedule was 4th, so they had a tough schedule, but having a bad defense hurts you in these rankings. Their number was 34.6. Number 15 tied with TCU, so their number was also 34.6. I used actual, wins and losses for the tiebreaker, but number 15 is actually Oregon State. Oregon State. They finished the regular season 10-3, 38th in offense, not bad, but not great. 16th on defense, pretty good defense. 50th toughest schedule, so scheduling kind of hurt them, but defense is what helped them creep up into the top 15. Their number was also 34.6. That one surprised me as well. Well, not really. I knew Oregon State was a good team, but I thought that strength of schedule would drop them a little further, especially since we haven't heard the name USC yet. What's going on? Number 16. I'm not even going to ask you to guess this one because you probably wouldn't be able to, but number 16 is Louisville? Yeah. Louisville. Louisville is number 16. I know. They went 8-5 last year. Not a good offense either. 74th. Great defense. 11th on defense. And 25th on strength of schedule, so that helped them as well. So defense and strength of schedule kind of helped make up for the bad offense, and their number was 36.6. Yeah, Louisville. Craziness. Number 17, let's get back into the realm of, at least a little bit normal. Number 17 was Notre Dame. Notre Dame at number 17. Not a great offense and not a great defense. 42nd on offense, 39th on defense, and 34th on strength of schedule. So they were just kind of middle on the road on everything, which is why they're kind of middle of the road on the rankings. But their number was 38.3. Number 18, I didn't know this team would be as high as it is. I was not impressed, especially with their defense. Number 18 is Ole Miss. Wow, Ole Miss. They finished 8-5. 29th best offense. That's not a bad offense, but not a great defense. 57th. Strength of schedule, not bad. 32nd. So that helped them. Their number was 39.3. Wow. Ole Miss at number 18. Nope, never would have thought it. Number 19. We're about to round out the top 20. Number 19 was Oregon. Oregon. There we go. The Ducks finally making it. They finished 10-3. 10th best offense, but the 75th best defense, or should I say worst? I don't know which way to word that. Terrible defense. And strength of schedule hurt too. 37th in strength of schedule. So defense and strength of schedule knocked Oregon down. Number 20. Oh my gosh. Another team you would have never guessed. Number 20. The Texas Tech Red Raiders. Yeah. The Big 12 got rewarded a lot in these rankings because of their strength of schedule. I'm telling you. Texas Tech finished 8-5, 27th on offense, 93rd on defense. But they had the number 8 schedule. Number 8 schedule. So there you go. Texas Tech, according to this particular algorithm, number 20. Number 21. Oh, man. Oh, man. This one, number 21 is the worst of the worst, guys. The worst of the worst. Only because of their wins and losses. They actually were a decent team, and their strength of schedule was good, but their wins and losses make this not make sense. Number 21, Baylor. Baylor. Baylor? Yeah, Baylor. Baylor made number 21, and they finished 6-7. They didn't even finish with a winning record. 39th on offense, which for a 6-7 team, that's a really good offense. And 69th on defense. I've seen teams with way worse than 69th on this list so far, so that's not a terrible defense. And 22nd on strength of schedule. Go back to the Baylor TCU game. TCU had to win with a runoff field goal. So if you watch that game, you'd be like, TCU and Baylor are very close competition, but the wins and losses didn't show it. Well, if you go by that algorithm, yeah, that's true. They actually are pretty close as far as actual competition. Wins and losses can be deceiving. Baylor's number was 43.3. I don't know if I gave Oregon and Texas Tech. So Oregon's number was 40.6. Texas Tech's was 42.6. And then Baylor's was 43.3. Number 22, finally, I was hoping they would be higher because I've really been pulling for this team the entire time. They were one win away from being in the Pac-12 championship and possibly the playoffs. And I think they were a good team, and that's Washington. Washington. They finished 11-2. 7th on offense. They had an elite offense. 58th on defense. Not terrible, but not elite. Their strength of schedule is what hurt them, and that's 67th. Their number was 44 on the dot. But had Washington beat Arizona State, which they should have because Arizona State was a terrible team, got to the Pac-12 championship, winner of the Pac-12 championship gets in because you'd have a one-loss Washington versus a one-loss USC. Pac-12 gets into the playoffs. That's why I made a video the other day about how Washington messed up the Pac-12's chances of getting to the playoffs. Messed up badly. Messed it up. Craziness. And they're number 22 according to this algorithm. Number 23. Finally, guys, we've been waiting on this team. USC finally makes the list at number 23. Wow. They finished 11-3. Third best offense. Elite offense. What hurt them? 94th best defense. Defense matters. And their strength of schedule, not terrible, but not great. It was 39th. But it was the defense statistic that really bit USC in their rear end. And if you think about it, it's always been the case for Oklahoma. And every time Lincoln Riley has made the playoffs, what's happened? They got beat. It got to the point where the playoff committee started to get hesitant to put Oklahoma in the playoffs when Lincoln Riley was over there. Same thing's going to happen with USC. And according to this algorithm, the playoff committee would have been justified even if USC did win the Pac-12 because they probably would have lost because their defense was trash. And their schedule wasn't anything to brag about. Probably one of the best schedules in the Pac-12 because they scheduled Notre Dame. That's going to boost your schedule this year because Notre Dame was good. So if you look at this as a whole with the entire picture, some of this actually does make sense. It makes some things make sense. It's just looking at their wins and losses that you can't get past. In your brain, you're like, you cannot put an 8-5 team over an 11-3 team, especially if they're both in a Power 5 conference. That just doesn't make sense to your brain. So it's the wins and losses hump that we can't get over. But if we look at, how good these offenses are, how good their defenses are, and strength of schedule, because that matters too, then some of this actually makes sense. And some of these upsets make more sense if you go by this algorithm. Number 24, somebody mentioned it earlier, Duke. Yes, Duke did make the top 25. They were a 9-4 team. They were a good team, guys. 32nd on offense, 31st on defense. That's not bad. Strength of schedule hurt them, though. 77th. So if they would have had just a little bit tougher schedule, they would be even higher up on the rankings. But their number was 46.6, and we actually had a tie for 24, so I used several different tiebreakers because they actually had the same record. But number 25 was Minnesota. Minnesota was number 25. They finished 9-4 as well. 66th on offense. That's probably what hurt them the most. 4th on defense. They had an elite defense, but also their strength of schedule was 70th. Their number was also 46. So let's run down this real quick for the quick recap. Top 25, according to this algorithm, we factored in points per game as far as their rank goes. So it factors in offensive production, points allowed per game, their rank. So we factored in defensive production and strength of schedule. So we also factored in who they played. You're factoring in all three phases necessary. So it is a complete algorithm, but the results didn't make any sense. Let's run through this real quick, and then we'll move on. Number 1 was Georgia. They finished 15-0 national champs. Their number was 7. Number 2, Alabama. They finished 11-2. Their number was 13. By the way, the lower number, the better. Number 3 was Ohio State, 11-2. Their number was 17.6. Number 4 was Texas. Yeah, they finished 8-5. Their number was 18. Strength of schedule really helped them. Number 5 was Tennessee. They finished 11-2. Their number was 19. Number 6 was Michigan. They finished 13-1. Their number was 20.3. Strength of schedule hurt them. Number 7 was Penn State. They finished 11-2. Their number was 21. They were solid basically across the entire board. Even strength of schedule was decent. Number 8 was Kansas State. They finished 10-4. Their number was 22.6. Strength of schedule really helped Kansas State. Number 9 was LSU. They finished 10-4. Their number was 23.3. They were basically solid across the board, and their strength of schedule helped them as well. Number 10 was the Florida State Seminoles. They finished 10-3. Their number was 25.6. Once again, strong across the board. Strength of schedule hurt them a little bit, though. Number 11 was Utah, who finished 10-4. Their number was 27.6. What really hurt them was strength of schedule. Number 12, Clemson. They finished 11-3. Their number was 31.3. Strength of schedule hurt Clemson, too. Number 13, Mississippi freaking State. They finished 9-4, and strength of schedule actually helped them the most. By the way, Clemson's number was 31.3. Mississippi State's number was 33 on the dot. Number 14, finally, TCU. They finished 13-2. What hurt them the most was defense. Being 91st in defense hurt them drastically. Their number was 34.6. Tied with them, but ranked below them because of records as the tiebreaker, Oregon State. They finished 10-3. What hurt them was strength of schedule, for sure. Their number was also 34.6. Number 16 was Louisville. They finished 8-5. Defense is what really helped them. Strength of schedule helped them as well. Their number was 36.6. Number 17 was Notre Dame. Notre Dame finished 9-4. They were very even across the board. 42nd, 39th, and 34th. So down the middle, ranking down the middle. Their number was 38.3. Number 18 was Ole Miss. A little bit of a shocker. They finished 8-5. Offense helped them, but defense hurt them. Their number was 39.3. Number 19 was Oregon. Great on offense, not good on defense at all. Strength of schedule, and their number was 40.6. Number 20 was the Texas Tech Red Raiders. They finished 8-5. Offense helped them. Defense hurt them. SOS definitely helped them. Their number was 42.6. Number 21 was a team with a losing record. Baylor, 6-7. Strength of schedule helped them. Offense helped them. And not having a bad defense also helped them. They had decent stats across the board, to be honest with you. And the only thing that was off about Baylor, wins and losses. Their number was 43.3. Number 22, Washington. What hurt them the most was strength of schedule, yes, and defense was a little shaky. Their number was 44 on the dot. Number 23 was USC. Yikes. 11-3 is what they finished. Great on offense, terrible on defense, and so-so strength of schedule. Their number was 45.3. Rounding out the top 25, number 24 was Duke. They finished 9-4. Solid across the board. Strength of schedule was a little iffy. Their number was 46.6. And number 25 was Minnesota, who also finished 9-4. Great defense, not so good offense. Strength of schedule, not so great, but their number was also 46.6. By the way, thank you, Jason M., for the $2 donation. Says Michigan will play in the college football playoff again in 2023. I agree with that because their strength of schedule, once again, will be a joke. But having said that, I also think Michigan will be a good team again. I'm not saying they're going to be a bad team, but I mean, their only real chance of losing will be on the road to Penn State. That's about it. And even if they do lose to Penn State, if they beat Ohio State, and Penn State loses 2 games in the Big Ten, which they probably will, you're boom back in the Big Ten championship. You win that, you're in the playoffs. Michigan has an easy path to the playoffs. So, yes, when you're thinking about wins and losses, this doesn't make sense. But really think about these games, guys. If you really think about these games, it does make sense. Sort of. So Texas being up at number 4, your brain's like 8-5. No, that doesn't make any sense. And no, they don't deserve to be at number 4. But I mean, they lost to Alabama by 1 point at home. That tells you right there they're pretty good. And don't forget, Quinn Ewers did get injured for a very long stretch. So maybe it's not that far off. How many games does Texas lose if Quinn Ewers doesn't get injured? Are they a 10-win team? And then this ranking is, something to think about. Maybe they get to the Big 12 championship, which, by the way, I am predicting Texas to get to the playoffs this year, guys. Yes, I am. I'm a West Virginia fan, horns down all day, but I look at facts. I do think, as long as they don't get bit by the injury bug, I do think that Texas is going to make the playoffs. I really, really do. I think they're I know most people jumped on the bandwagon, last year. I did not. I predicted 8-4. That's what they did. This year, I think they can get to the playoffs. I really do. Number 1, I think Texas is going to be even better, especially on defense. Number 2, I think the rest of the Big 12 takes a step back. TCU is not going to be anywhere close to what they were this year. No, TCU could miss a bowl in 2023. I know that sounds like an epic collapse and Georgia broke them. Think about it. What was it? 91st on defense. So they already had a trash defense this year, right? Look at all their games. Barely beating people. Having to come back. They had a horseshoe up their rear end is what happened. They shouldn't have won as many games as what they did. What happened? When they got to the national championship, they finally ran out of miracles, and Georgia beat them into dust. 2023, they're going to lose a ton of production from offense. That defense is still going to be bad, and they're losing a ton of production on the offense. And guess what? They're not going to have that luck. They're not going to get the bounce of the ball like they did this year. I mean, they got a lot of help from the bounce of the ball this year. I said the same thing about Michigan State from 2021 and 2022. Remember Michigan State in 2021? They went like 11-2 or something like that. Beat Pitt in a New Year's Six Bowl. Remember? What'd I tell you? I said Michigan State had a trash defense. And whenever Kenneth Walker was injured in 2021, Michigan State fell to pieces. I knew that Kenneth Walker was moving on to the NFL. I saw no reason to see that the defense was going to take a step forward. So I correctly predicted Michigan State to miss a bowl. Correctly. Michigan State went 11-2 to 5-7. I think that happens to TCU. I think that happens to TCU. Their defense wasn't very good at all this year, 91st. It's not going to be good next year. And all those fluke plays, comebacks, close wins, the law of averages always catches up, guys. The law of averages always catches up. On top of that, they're losing Max Duggan and a ton of production from the offense. I'm predicting it, guys. TCU goes from playoff team to missing a bowl. I'm telling you right now. Jason M., thank you for the $5 donation. Says, no matter how bad out-of-conference schedule is, Michigan has to play Ohio State every year. Who's good every year? That's true. Penn State will be better also. I agree with that. Other teams don't play Ohio State. I agree with that statement. And like I said, whenever I said what I said earlier, I wasn't trash talking Michigan. It is what it is. I think that's actually pretty smart. If you can schedule softer, schedule softer. If you still can get to the playoffs, and the fact that you still play Penn State and Ohio State, yes, do it. But just remember, when you get to the playoffs, you haven't been tested as much as other teams. TCU should not have beat you, Michigan. Okay, you were the better team, but TCU was more battle tested. TCU's SOS was fourth toughest schedule. Michigan's was 48. So because they knew how to win those, call it luck, and I did call it luck, bounce the ball, 2 pick sixes against Michigan. That's a little bit of luck right there. Call it whatever you want. They were battle tested. So that's the one thing you have to look out for. I thought Michigan was a better team than TCU. I still think Michigan was the better team. But I think not being used to playing good teams every single week did hurt Michigan whenever they played TCU. Now, TCU finally ran out of luck, and depth finally played a factor into it, and they got smashed by Georgia. I think TCU's depth and starting players were recovering from playing Michigan. Remember, that was a battle. They didn't blow out Michigan. They barely beat Michigan. So because TCU doesn't have the depth of a Michigan, a Ohio State, a Georgia, a Alabama, they were gassed before the national championship even started. Okay. Hillbilly Skeptic, thank you for the $2 donation. Michigan fans will boo Harbaugh after another first round exit. Yes, I didn't agree with that at all. And I'm not trying to lump all Michigan fans into that because I'm sure Jason M. didn't boo Jim Harbaugh. Upset, yes, but not boo him. I mean, we all get mad whenever we lose a game. I will definitely boo Neil Brown by now. This is year 4, and we haven't done anything. Why am I up so late? Well, actually, that's actually a good question because my sleep pattern. I used to work third shift, and my sleep pattern got messed up. But at least I'm able to go to sleep by like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock now. But it used to be because I worked third shift. Number one, I wouldn't be able to sleep at all because I was used to staying up all night and sleeping in the morning. And then whenever I quit that job and got a regular job, it was a struggle. I couldn't go to sleep till like 5 a.m. and I had to be at work at like 10. But eventually I was able to work it back, but it's still there. I still can't go to bed early. I have to. I'm a night owl, and I'm not a morning person. That is for sure. I am not a morning person, but I used to be. Whenever I worked for Pepsi, which is what started me on my Pepsi kick, that's what got me addicted. I got them every day free. I worked for Pepsi for 3 years, but whenever I worked for Pepsi, I was a morning person because I had to get up by 4:30 to be at my first stop by 7 a.m. So, but you know what? I love that job, so I never complained about that. And the body gets used to it. But anyways, the point is strength of schedule isn't everything, but if you play too soft of a schedule, whenever you get whenever you get to the playoffs, you're not as battle tested as these other teams who have played a tough schedule. The downside is if you do play a tough schedule, then you're setting yourself up for the possibility of having more losses because your schedule is tougher. So it's two sides of the same coin. And to be honest with you, if I had a choice, I would say schedule soft. I mean, your chances of going to the playoffs are much higher as long as you're in a Power Five conference. If you win your conference and either go undefeated or one loss, you're going to get to the playoffs. So if you can schedule soft and get away with it in a Power Five conference, do it. That's smart by all means. Same thing with the SEC. They schedule 8 conference games, 4 home, 4 away, and then some of these teams have annual neutral games, like the Florida Georgia game. That's in Jacksonville every year. Arkansas and Houston are doing a neutral site game right now in Arlington for the past several years. So you have that. And then on top of that, there are 4 out of conference games. The SEC rarely, plays a true road game in the Power Five. Credit to Alabama. They went on the road to Texas last year. And Florida will do it this year because they had a home and home with Utah. It was a home game last year. It will be a road game this year. So it does happen. But for the most part, SEC teams do not like to schedule road games for an out-of-conference Power 5 opponent. They'll do neutral all day long. They'll do that every year. But true road games, out-of-conference Power 5 opponent, they don't like doing that. But we are seeing a few here and there, like Alabama at Texas, which they almost lost it. And that proves why the SEC doesn't like doing that. Yes, Alabama won, but it was close. That was almost a 3-loss season, despite having a top 5 offense and a top 10 defense. They could have had a top 3-loss season because their strength of schedule was too high. You don't want to go too high because then you're setting yourself up for more losses than necessary. So that's the only problem with that. See, that case in point, Texas Tech, right? They finished 8-5, but they finished in the top 20 because of their strength of schedule. Their strength of schedule was 8, but that caused them to have a worse record. If Texas Tech would have had a softer schedule, say in the 50s or 60s, you're probably looking at a 10-win Texas Tech. Seriously, if Texas Tech schedules a softer schedule, then you're probably looking at a 10-win Texas Tech. This is basic math. If you play a tougher schedule, then your chances of picking up more losses are much higher. If you play a softer schedule, then your chances of picking up more losses are exponentially lower. That's not trash talk. That's not me looking down on people that schedule soft. I think that's pretty stinking smart. All right. I'm not talking down about it at all. I'm just saying, a team that has a tougher schedule is going to have a tougher time to win as many games as a team that has a softer schedule. I mean, that's a fact. That's not me. That's not my opinion. That's not me trying to twist things. That's not me trying to trash talk somebody or look down on somebody. That's just facts. You schedule a tougher schedule, and you're probably, unless you're a really, really good team, you're probably going to have more losses. You schedule a softer schedule, and you're going to have fewer losses because the teams are easier. Okay? It is what it is. So, take that with a grain of salt. And everything is a delicate balance. You got to have good offense and a good defense to go with it. When is Lincoln Riley? When is Lincoln Riley going to learn his lesson and field an actual defense? Especially going into the Big Ten. They're going to get beat to shreds because of defense. They're going to have to learn how to recruit on defense. Otherwise, they're not going to succeed. Whenever I say succeed, I'm talking like win the Big Ten consistently. They'll still have 9-10 win seasons, possibly win the Big Ten every once in a while. But with that schedule and having to go across country, you better have defense because defense is what travels. Defense travels. So if your road games are even farther away and you don't have a defense, then that's even worse on you. And I'm hoping that he does learn how to recruit and build up defense because I actually, you know what? I actually want teams from the West Coast to be represented in the playoffs. It feels like something's missing whenever those teams are not there. I remember when USC was really, really good under Pete Carroll. Those were some really cool national championships. It was really cool to see USC win a national championship. I even remember Washington winning their national championship back in, I think it was 91. I was 7 or 8 whenever that happened, but I still remember that. I remember buying, we used to go Goodwill shopping. Don't lie, everybody does it. Thrift store shopping is a thing. There's actually some really good things there. So don't knock it until you try it. There's some good things over there. But I remember going to a thrift store as a young kid. Washington had just won the national championship. Lo and behold, there was a Washington hat in the bin, and I remember seeing that. Now I'll never forget that. It is just the craziest coincidence. But anyways, I remember it, and that's one of the memories that I have. I remember seeing that hat, and that was the year that they won. So Pac-12, I don't know if they're going to exist much longer. But I'm not really talking about the Pac-12. I'm just talking about teams on the West Coast. Teams on the West Coast. So whether the Pac-12 dissolves or not, that's not the point. Teams could jump to the Big 12, to the Big 10, maybe the FCC. I don't know. I just want to see the West Coast represented. Oregon get to the playoffs, Washington get to the playoffs, USC get to the playoffs, Utah. I mean, my goodness, Utah wins the Pac-12 in back-to-back years, but they pick up stupid losses, so the Pac-12 misses it. They're screwing over the Pac-12 because they're good enough to win the Pac-12, but then they can't beat the lesser teams. They should be able to go on the road and beat Florida. I'm sorry, Florida was not good. Anyways, yes, I titled the video an apology to Alabama fans because they actually were better than what I thought. 4th on offense, 9th on defense, strength of schedule 26, so they scheduled good. Maybe Alabama was one of the top 4 teams, and for that, I apologize, Alabama fans. I was actually wrong about that. And I think TCU didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. I don't. After looking at the statistics and the numbers, I know they go on wins and losses, but TCU losing the Big 12 championship should have knocked them out, and Alabama should have got in. There, I said it. So, yes, that was my apology to Alabama fans, and now I agree with you, Alabama, after looking at everything. TCU's defense, I didn't realize it was that bad. I knew it was suspect, but I didn't realize it was that bad. Remember at the beginning of the year, first 6 or 7 games, I'm like, the reason TCU's winning is because the refs aren't throwing flags on the defense. It's because they had a bad defense and they were pass interfering. By the second quarter, the refs just stopped calling it. I guess they thought, well, I just guess that's how they defend. But TCU kept pass interfering all the time. And then they just stopped calling flags on them. They didn't have a good defense. TCU did not belong to be in the playoffs. They didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. And in 2023, they're going to take a significant step backwards. Significant step backwards, guys. Significant. I don't think they're making a bowl. But anyways, so there's my apology to Alabama fans. I actually do think that Alabama was one of the 4 best teams, but technically, you didn't earn your way in. You lost 2 games. I have no argument against that. Stop losing 2 games and you'll get in. You were a good team, but you lost 2 games. It is what it is. And Texas, strength of schedule helped you on this one, didn't it? Got you all the way up to number 4, and 25th on offense, 28th on defense. That's not terrible. I think those stats go even higher this year, and I think Texas makes the playoffs. I really do. I hate to say that, but facts are facts, even if it's for a team that you don't like. But anyways, that's what I call a live show right there. Who knows what we're going to talk about tomorrow night? We'll figure it out. But I appreciate everybody stopping by. Everybody hit the like button on the way out. That helps the video get views, which is what a YouTube channel is all about. I'm not going to lie and sugarcoat and say, I just do this for fun. No, I do this for a living. It's fun, but I do it for a living. This is how I, feed my kids. So I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, I do this for fun. So it really doesn't matter if you hit the like button. No, likes help the video. So I would greatly appreciate it if you hit the like button. And special shout out to all the people that super chat. Those donations really keep us going in the off season. People get disinterested in college football in the off season. And so those donations are really, really what keeps these YouTube channels going. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for stopping by. We will be back tomorrow evening for another show, 10 p.m. Who knows what we're going to talk about? I'll figure out something. I'll figure out something. As of right now, I don't know. It'll probably in the off season, you got to pull stuff out of your rear end sometimes. Sometimes you just got to pull something out of your rear end. So that's probably what I'll have to do tomorrow. But the bottom line is, I'll try to make it entertaining, because that's what the bottom line is for having a YouTube channel. Make it entertaining. Are you not entertained? That's the question. Are you not entertained? We'll figure out something. Anyways, y'all have a good rest of your night. I'm starting to ramble, so I got to get off here. That's my cue to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you here tomorrow, 10 p.m. And don't forget the regular videos as well. Probably 2. I've been doing 2 videos off season. Got to make more videos to make up the revenue from views. So keep an eye out for the regular videos. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night.